Okay. Yeah, thanks for joining. I know very few, two of you are here. That's fine. So, so what I thought was in the previous class, what I did was I gave a brief intro into using natural language processing and how to use it in the field of public policy domain. That is a presentation what I gave in the previous class, and it's theoretical in nature what I did in the previous class. And as I mentioned over there, so the NLP what I'm going to teach for those students who have done a good work, okay, because not everyone might be interested in it, and not everyone are good in coding also, right? So only to those candidates whose report, which would be based on the systematic literature review, is good enough, and if the candidate is interested, only for them I'm going to teach how to do a natural language processing. So you might have heard of it, right? What is NLP and its uses and all, right? So so that's the thing. It's a very basic introduction what I gave over there, and the NLP thing what I'm telling it is not assessed. It won't be evaluated. Only evaluation is for the systematic literature review project. What you're going to do it. So in your empirical, you have done literature review. So who is your empirical guide? Okay, Deepa. Yes. Okay, so you guys are used to doing literature review. So you understand how to do it, right? So so it picks up on your basic understanding of literature review. What I'm going to teach, and as I mentioned, if it is, it will be quite a bit different. What you guys are being taught, or how you are doing it. So it will be much more systematized in nature. That's why we call it as systematic literature review, or else it is also called as a meta-analysis. Okay, so I'll be explaining like not in a traditional way here. So I'll be going through some of the research papers which are already being done based on literature review. So if we go through those papers, you will understand what is literature review, what is the purpose of it, and how it can be done, and we can also identify some of the shortcomings, and especially in the traditional literature review. Okay, we'll go through those things, and once you understand this concept, you will be required to do a literature review and write a report for your project. Okay, so coming into like the outcome part, what we'll be studying is what we are going to get out of this is identifying the research themes in the public policy areas. So we are not typically looking into industry problem. Like for example, like there could be sales related issues, or human resource related issues, or financial related issues about an industry. We are not looking into those things. Maybe industry and the government policies. So there has to be an interlinkage. So this you need to keep in mind while doing a literature review. So here basically we'll be trying to identify the research themes using NLP techniques if you are interested. So where we are going to stop for your evaluation is that you guys doing a literature survey. That means basically identifying a comprehensive literature required for the analysis purpose, and submitting a report on it. That is where the evaluation stops. If we extend beyond that, we can use certain techniques or algorithms of NLP and identify research themes. So this becomes important for you guys, especially in terms of skill development. So you might have heard of all this chat GPT, what's happening. It's all based on text modeling, right? Text modeling, and there are a lot of algorithms for it. And you might have also heard of certain algorithms which could identify the sentiments, sentiment analysis. And There is also a software which detects your grammar is right or wrong, Grammarly, you know it. And if you open your email, so the email is automatically categorizing certain emails as spam. So it's all based on certain text algorithm, right? So it is a lot of trend in nowadays in the global world. What's happening with respect to change, with respect to coming of this chat GPT or Bard or anything, any large language models which are coming up. And you are also used day to day, you're also used in your day to day activities, those Alexa or Siri in your mobile phones and all. So text data, there's a large abundant data, which are unstructured data, which is available over there. And there's a lot of scope for doing various kinds of analysis and its application in solving the industry problem and the government problems. So if you are equipped with this skill in the industry, when you get placed in the job, if you want some kind of a promotion or shift over, this skill is going to help you a lot uh, in getting that shift over. So NLP is a unique skill. It's not an easy thing to learn. So by practicing again and again, you will get used to it. I think only those students like who would be interested, they will take up this kind of a things like. So not everyone is going to be, everyone doesn't want to go into it. That is obvious. So it is going to help you out in your career development and career prospect. If you know this NLP, it's a kind of upskilling. So have you guys been taught here in the minor subject, the NLP, something? Not yet, right? Okay, okay. This could be an opportunity where I would be willing to teach to the interesting students how to do it. So if you have a basic understanding of Python, that should be enough to do it. And we can also try and publish papers, or we can put it in a conference. So you can claim yourself as a published researcher in the area of natural language processing. Fine. So that's the thing. And the other outcome is that we are going to learn how to do a systematic literature review or the meta-analysis. And the submission, the expected submission is a report. So I'm going to come to it later on, maybe in the next class, what should be the report content and all. Or else I might just email to you guys. And assessment carries 50 marks, this one. So don't take it lightly, and it's not that complicated also. You can execute it, that wouldn't be a problem. Uh, but it has to be very right in a very technical way, in a sense of your problem statement, what you have, what you are trying to understand, and what you want to do. There needs to be a clarity. So then alone I can give a marks. If there is no clarity in your report, if there is no clarity in doing literature survey, right? So you won't be fetching those marks. So I'm going to teach you like step by step what needs to be done. We just need to follow those steps. That should be sufficient. Fine. Before going into the next slides, do you guys remember the eightfold path of policy analysis? One of the very important path in policy analysis is the second path, which deals with assembling the evidence. So you have a problem statement and you have defined the problem over there in the first stage. In the second stage, to substantiate your problem, you need to have certain evidences, right? So the evidences could be gathered based on the primary study or the secondary study. So right now, for the assignment purpose, for our purpose, we'll focus on secondary data collection and secondary data analysis. Here the secondary data, what we are going to look into is basically a text data in terms of published research articles. So one way is by using the literature reviews is one way of doing a secondary data analysis, wherein we can gather certain evidences to support our problem statement. So there are many ways to do a secondary data, or many sources for secondary data. There are many types of secondary data. but here we are going to use the text data, and we are going to do a review of those text data. That is the objective of our study. So as you know it, there are two types of literature review. One is the traditional kind of literature review, and another is a systematic literature review. So here what we are going to focus is on doing systematic literature review. This is quite a bit different from what we are doing, what we have been used to do it for our maybe in your, as I said, in your empirical study. So we will learn how to do a systematic literature review. For our assessment, typically what we will be doing is doing a systematic literature survey, which I'll be explaining to you step by step how to do it. So doing a systematic literature review is linked with public policy problem identification and also supporting the public policy advocacy aspect. It is very much linked over there because systematic literature reviews are very comprehensive in nature. So unlike the traditional literature, which could also be traditional literature review, which could also be used for public policy purposes, but the data what we used in traditional literature review is very, very small in nature or very small, and we can't generalize the outcome from traditional literature review. As I mentioned, the data is very small, and other issues is with respect to validity aspect and also the reliability aspect comes into play. So to make evidence-based policy making much more substantive in terms of giving a quality solution to the policy makers, systematic literature review would be a better option because of the comprehensiveness of the data which is being collected, and the using the system in a sense, using the computer, or what I mean is typically the algorithms which could do the systematic literature review uh, would reduce the biasness, human biasness, and it would help us to do a better validation uh, validation of the research what we are doing, so that the solutions what we give to the policy makers as a policy specialist, it is going to be much more reliable. So systematic literature review could be a ideal way or a better way uh, of understanding the problem and knowing the current uh, existing knowledge about the problem, and also identifying the gaps in the current knowledge about the problem, and also making suggestions to the governments with respect to specific policy problems. So this we will see in the later stage how it can be done. So what I'll be doing in the upcoming slides is that, so I'll be going through certain literature which are published literature which are not typically a public policy problem. We'll be looking into, it is very illustrative in nature, but the topics what we are going to choose would be public policy in nature. So the upcoming slides would be, it is illustrative in nature. Just keep in mind that I'm not telling that these kind of problems you need to choose for your report purpose. Uh, it should not be. It is illustrative to make you to understand what is literature review. So so let us see what it is there in the slides. It is just the explanation about the literature review. Just keep that in mind. Yeah. Yeah, as I mentioned, some limitations in traditional literature review is the data is very limited. So you might be doing a literature review for 5 articles or 10 articles or 20 articles. So in your systematic literature review, you might be required to do it for more number of articles. What I expect is, if you give me more articles, that's better. See, for doing a for doing a summary of 20 articles, we need not go for NLP. So systematic reviews are done for very large data set. It's very comprehensive about the knowledge. For instance, like you take any example like artificial intelligence and healthcare. So you might get a whole lot of like some 10,000 articles on Scopus, and you will be required to filter it down. So you are going to document how we are going to filter it down. Okay, there is a method called as PRISMA, which we are going to learn about it. So even if you are coming down 50 articles out of 10,000, you're coming down 50 articles means you need to document it. How did you filter it? Okay, that's a systematic survey. What we are going to do it. So the data should be large enough, should be comprehensive enough, and validation. So validation is a bigger challenge in traditional literature review. Okay, and the transparency. When you write a literature review for your assignments and all in your normal day-to-day work, so you won't go in detail like how you collected the data systematically. You just randomly summarize the articles over there. So that should be avoided here in systematic reviews. Okay. So yeah, coming to next slide. As I said, in this session, I didn't wanted to go for like what is a literature review? Why do you want to do it? So instead, I felt let me just take you through certain already published works, what they speak of it, and what kind of a problem they are trying to address and how they have addressed it, right? So we will get an idea of what is literature review is meant for. Fine. So for example, if I say this document, the title is The Art of Writing Literature Review. What do we know and what do we need to know? So there are two authors for this. It is being published. So what it is telling, I'll just read through it. Let us understand about it. A literature review articles provide a comprehensive overview of literature related to a theme, theory, method, and synthesizes prior studies to strengthen the foundation of knowledge. So what it is trying to do is it is trying to give an overview of, it could be for all these things, it could be related to a theme, it could be related to a theory, it could be related to a method. It is going to give an overview of it. And second thing what it is trying to do is that it is helping us to understand what is the existing knowledge, right? So make a point. One is literature review gives the overview, point 1. Point 2, it is helping us to synthesize or understand what is the existing knowledge on certain themes or the methods or the theories. So if you choose any topic or area of the problem, so if you choose a problem, it should tell us like what is the current state of study, right? So further it is explaining, in the growing international business research field, systematic literature reviews have a great value, yet there are not many reviews published describing how researchers can design and develop classic review articles. See, the interesting thing what he is mentioning here is, I'll just take a pointer and yeah, you can see the pointer here. Okay, so In these 3 lines, the author is trying to tell you the gap. So one is the literature review. When you do it, you will understand what is the current existing knowledge about certain things, what it is. And it also throws up light on what are the certain gaps in the study. It could be related to the theme, it could be related to theory or the method, or even about the results also. So they are telling that systematic literature reviews have a great value, yet there are not many reviews published describing how researchers can design and develop classical review articles. So this is a gap in the study, what the author is explaining. So what are they going to do about it? In explaining the purpose, methodology, and structure of systematic review, we provide guidelines for developing most insightful and useful review articles. Basically, they are telling that we are going to develop a design and design to implement systematic literature review. That would be the contribution of this article. By outlining steps and thumb rules to keep in mind. So they are going to outline certain rules and guidelines how to do a systematic literature review. We present an overview of different types of review articles and explain how future researchers could potentially find them useful. So they are also telling the significance of it. The significance is that how the researchers can do it, the scope of it, right? In addition, we introduced 9 articles finally selected for the special issue of systematic literature review. So I intended this abstract to come in the last. So I wanted to start with what is traditional literature, what it is doing. But anyways, it has directly jumped into what is systematic literature review. So what are we learning in this literature is that writing the abstract itself. So what is an abstract here? So when you write your project, what I'm expecting is, one, the title has to be there. Check out the title, how he is putting. Author, he or she. Yeah, I think both are he. So the title is very clear here. The title is telling the art of writing literature review. What do we know and what do we need to know? So what is the current existing knowledge on literature review? What we want to do or what we want to know. That is what it is explaining clearly. And it is also giving a short abstract, giving a brief background of 2 lines or 3 lines, and it is explaining the gap in the study, and it is explaining what the authors propose to do, and how is it going to be significant in the future research, right? And also the scope of it, what they are mentioning it. So these categories has to be clear while you guys write your abstract. So when you write a report, I need a title, I need an abstract, typically around 250 to 300 words. So it has to clearly communicate what you guys want to study. Okay. So let us go to next literature. So here the title is Literature Review as a Research Methodology, an Overview and the Guidelines. Very simple, it is straightforward. It's a single author, Hannah Snyder. She is the author for this. Knowledge production within the field of business research is accelerating at tremendous speed, while at the same time remaining fragmented and interdisciplinary. So this is a background what she is giving. So if you take any current topics, you take AI or it's running ChatGPT. So there is a lot of papers are getting published. The classic example is COVID. When COVID came, so everyone started writing about COVID, right? There are a lot of papers now, and some of the journals also waived off their APC charges, that is authors processing charges, so that you can write about COVID. There was a lot of churning on COVID, and I think if I'm not wrong, like India is one of the top contributors for COVID-19 literature. Okay, so what WHO has done is that it has actually created a repository of COVID literature. It's a huge repository. So how are we going to keep a track of it? So there are like lakhs together articles. What is the state of knowledge we are getting out of this? What it is? It's very complicated, right? So literature review is going to help us in understanding the state of knowledge. Again, it's a repetition from the previous thing, right? Previous article too. So the gap is also mentioned here. The gap is that in the field of business research, there is a lot of fragmentation and interdisciplinary. This makes it hard to keep up with the state of the art and to be at the forefront of research, as well as to assess the collective evidence in particular area of business research. So this is why literature review as a research method is more relevant than ever. So there's a lot of knowledge generation is happening, but it is all fragmented, maybe in a different areas or different kinds of applications, all those things, it is fragmented. So literature review is going to help us to systematically understand the existing knowledge on business research. Traditional literature reviews often lack thoroughness and rigor and are conducted ad hoc rather than following a specific methodology. So how do you guys, we are used to doing traditional literature reviews. I will tell you, like, for example, like if a teacher or tells you do a literature review, what we do? We just go for our good chances is that we go to Google, type it down, some problem over there, statement, we get a list of articles. So you read 1 or 2, 3 articles, you write it in a Word document, put a citation manager, put a citation over there. If you want to put a citation, otherwise like it's gone case, no citations, just write it down most of the times. So there is a problem over there which has been given. We go to Google, right, and we cite 3 or 4 articles and we think that is enough. So that is not enough, and there is a lot of issues over there. You can't, by reading just 3 or 4 articles, you can't understand the state of knowledge. There is a limitation. And how we are summarizing it, even summarizing literature review, it is based on human intuition, human logic, what you're using. You might be sometimes biased or you're inferring in your own way, right? There is a biasness, there's a question of validity. One is there is a limitation of the data, 3 or 4 articles, even 10 articles, you imagine. There is a limitation of a data, and there's a question of validation. It is not properly validated. That becomes problematic. And also, like, you are picking and choosing certain articles, right? Cherry picking the articles, what is suited, and then you are using it for your problem statement. So in a way, like, the argument could be very skewed in nature, right, in the literature review, in understanding the existing knowledge. So these are the limitations what we find in traditional literature reviews. Okay, that is what the author is mentioning here. So in that scenario, this paper discusses literature review as a methodology for conducting research and offers an overview of different types of reviews, as well as some guidelines to how to both conduct and evaluate literature review paper. So this is about this paper. Yeah. And there is one more article. It's a two people have co-authored it. Guidance on conducting systematic literature review. I'm going to come to how to actually do a systematic literature review, maybe in the later class. Okay. So here, literature reviews establish the foundation of academic inquiries. However, in the planning field, we lack rigorous systematic reviews. So why do we call it a systematic? For instance, like, I will give you an example, like how to just give you a gist of things, how it is done. For instance, when you choose a problem, You need to write it down, everything what you're doing. Documentation is very important. If you go to a Scopus or your Google Scholar search engine and you're typing different search strategies over there, right? So that needs to be documented. And why you have chosen particular kind of a search string, that has to be explained, the reason behind it, the logic behind it. So everything has to be identified and systematically documented. By this way, the reader or the reviewer will get an idea that, oh, there is a transparency in doing things. And it is very systematic. It is not ad hoc in nature that you are just going to Google and typing something and getting some articles out of it. So you're telling that I am doing like this. So whatever you do, just document it. Okay, documenting properly, it's very important part of systematic reviews. It gives a suggestion about how to do rigor in literature reviews in planning, education, and research. Okay. So here is one paper on systematic literature review. So the topic is straight: big data analytics in supply chain management. So the author wants to understand how the big data analytics is used, what is the state of its application in supply chain management. So the easiest way is to do a systematic literature review. Okay. So what is it telling? The rapidly growing interest from both academics and practitioners in the application of big data analytics in supply chain management has urged the need for review of up-to-date research development in order to develop a new agenda. So the author wants to get updated on the existing knowledge and develop a new agenda out of it. Okay, it is very straight in nature. This review responds to the call by proposing a novel classification framework. So the author is mentioning the method here. So they are going to use a novel classification framework that provides a full picture of current literature on where and how BDA has been applied. So when you write an abstract, you're going to give a background, gap. The method section, you can just write it down. I'm just telling, write it down. We are going to use the algorithm of natural language processing. Okay, that would be a unique thing of your research work. We are going to come out with the research themes. Okay, so basically we'll be doing a thematic identification of the current existing knowledge using a natural language processing. So the gap, actually what you guys can do is, you can actually mention, first thing is that you have chosen the problem statement title. What I mean with problem statement is the title, and put it in the Scopus. Use Scopus. Don't go for Google Scholar. Fine. Do a Google Scopus advanced search. There you see whether the literature review has been done using natural language processing or not. To be specific, you are going to search whether the themes have been identified using topic modeling or not. So topic modeling is one of the aspects of natural language processing. So we will be using the topic modeling algorithm to identify the themes. So in your abstract, you're going to write it down. For instance, I'm just giving an example. So you can tell that a lot of study has been done using systematic reviews for a particular topic, but there has been no study being done on using topic modeling. That is a gap, what you guys are going to do it. So in this study, we are proposing, so we don't have a result yet. We have collected systematically using a PRISMA, so we'll be using a PRISMA later on. Using a PRISMA, we have collected so many articles, and we'll do a topic modeling on this. Okay, that would be a unique contribution for systematic literature review. Simple. Okay. So in the abstract, you're going to mention how many articles uh, you did a literature survey and how you did it. In the abstract, you're going to mention it. Yeah. So let me just use a pointer for this here. So before getting into this topic, I just wanted to clarify why we are looking to this abstract once again. So for your assignment purpose, you'll be writing a report. Uh, so in the report, there should be a section called as an abstract. So this abstract should give you some idea how to write an abstract. Okay, that's the whole point, and the title needs to be very clear and very precise. So if you see the title here is it's about smart city and digital city. It is very clear about it. Okay, so follow certain things which is required of writing an abstract. For instance, the abstract should contain a brief introduction, 2 or 3 lines. It should mention the research gap. Here, the research gap, what you could mention directly is that the limitations in the study of the given topic using a systematic literature review uh, by using a topic modeling, that could be a limitation. Okay, so post your evaluation, we can just cross check if that is the case. In fact, if that is not the case, we can identify certain other problem in a systematic way and we can modify it, amend it. So for now, we can just mention the limitations of doing systematic literature review using topic modeling. And then what is the method you are going to follow for systematic literature review? You are going to follow again the topic modeling method that you can mention it directly over there. And you also need to mention the significance of the study, what you're doing it. How is it going to be useful to the whether is it going to be useful to the academicians or the government or the industry people. That needs to be covered. It should be around the data could be, sorry, the abstract could be around some 250 to 300 words. Fine. So so these are the very illustrative articles what I'm showing, which you should be able to replicate in your report writing. So as I mentioned, like basically you'll be doing for your report purpose. Basically, you'll be doing a literature survey, not a literature review. In the literature survey, you'll be mentioning how you systematically collated the relevant articles for doing a literature review. Okay, you'll be using a framework called as PRISMA, which I'll be explaining. So probably I'll be, yeah, no, I'll come to that later about the video of how to do a systematic literature survey. We'll speak about it. So if you see this topic, it's basically, I think so it's about kind of a public policy problem. Here the author is, if you see, is clearly mentioning, uh, I think the author is a she analyzer, uh, clearly mentioning they are using a search strategy, search string in Google Scholar. For our research purpose, don't use Google Scholar, use Scopus. Don't ask why, but use Scopus. Don't want Google Scholar. So, and to store, and they're also stored in the database. So you can store, once you finalize the list of articles, some 40, 50 articles, you store it in your Zotero reference manager. It is going to be very, very helpful, and it is going to save a lot of your time in doing your citations in a right style, right manner. Okay, it saves a lot of your time and energy. So so this is a kind of a study what is being done for public policy. It's an illustrative. So for your assignment purpose, choose a topic which is public policy in nature. Okay, don't take industry things. I will also suggest some of the topics for you guys, and I will probably I'll be coming out with one more video, and I'll be explaining in the next class how to do a systematic literature survey. So it will be kind of a hands-on kind of a thing, and you can easily follow it and execute it. So that wouldn't require much of your time. So so hopefully I'm clearing most of the things here. So systematic literature review is very important uh, for doing a public policy analysis. If you learn this, and especially if you are interested in the later stage, post your evaluation. If you want to do NLP and all, you can apply NLP to the database or to the literature what you have given to me. Okay. Basically, you need not submit all the 40-50 articles to me. Fine. So he will be giving me the PRISMA, the search strings, so which we could use for doing, which could be used for collecting the downloading the database and doing the analysis. I hope this clarifies many of your doubt. If you have any further doubt, you can just write a mail to me, and I will also be available in the cabin. You can just come and meet me. Yeah. Thank you.